My name's Ted D. Hass, and I own Windy Hill Farm. And I want to introduce you to two of my favorite mules of all time. This is Dan and this is Sarah. They're in their mid-teens. I've owned them for many years, and they've served us very well. They're broke to ride, they're broke to drive, single and double. They're broke to all farm machinery. They're absolutely 100% traffic safe and reliable and polite. I've never seen a team of mules so perfectly matched and so obedient and so kind as these two right here. We'll have some videos here and we'll show you what they can do. My goal is, I really hesitate selling these mules. I love them so much. They're my friends, but it bothers me to see them not being used to their potential. They really deserve a good home where someone will love them and use them for what they're here to do. And here at Windy Hill Farm, we're just so busy with everything else, we don't have time to take the mules and play with them like we should. So watch the videos and enjoy them. If you know somebody that needs a good team of mules, you tell them to give me a call. They'll thank me every time they see me. I've got great pleasure in presenting to you my favorite mule of all time. This is Sarah. She's a Suffolk Cross mule that I've had for many years. She's got a mate named Dan. We're going to do a video on him in a little bit. These mules are in their mid-teens. They're by far the best mules I've ever seen, ever. And they're broke to drive and ride. And Willis now is going to get on and we're going to take her through our obstacle course. I'd say Sarah's about 15 hands. She's very good on the trails. She is superior in harness. She is traffic safe. Probably the kindest, most honest, polite beast I have ever seen in my life. Sarah would be perfect for a timid rider or an older person who wants to go to the mountains and the trails. If you wanted to drive her and buy her and Dan as a pair, they absolutely go perfect in a team. We've used them to school horses with and to break colts with. They're broke to all farm machinery. I can honestly tell you that in my lifetime, they're the only mules I have ever seen that had no vices. They're easy to catch in the pasture. They're easy to keep. They pick their feet up for the farrier. They back off the trailer. They'll gee, haul, whoa, back up, turn around. I've had these mules for about 5 or 6 years. I've got a real nice wagon that goes with them and harness. And really the only reason I'm selling them, I just feel that I don't do them justice. I don't have time to take them and use them like they need to be used, and I know someone would enjoy these mules so much, the right person. I've been at this a long time, folks, and I have never witnessed nicer mules than these right here. So this is Sarah, Molly Mule. She's in her mid-teens. She's broke double and single. Trail ride's perfect. She's around 15 hands. She'd be a Suffolk cross Molly Mule. Her feet are in great shape, no shoes. And folks, I gotta tell you, I've owned this mule about 5 or 6 years. And I was just telling Willis that when this mule dies, she's going to heaven. This is a good mule. This is our mule, Dan. It's approximately 15 hands. John Mule. He'd be a Suffolk cross mule. He's in his mid-teens. He's the mate to Sarah that the other video we did this morning on would be his mate. They're full brother and sister. Dan is an awesome mule. That's the only way I can put it. He's broke single and double, and he rides fearlessly in the woods and on the trails. He's got 1,000,000 miles on him in the trails. He would be absolutely ideally perfect for an older person or a timid rider. I've owned this mule 5 or 6 years. We've driven him down the road, and we've driven him in the traffic, and I don't know if I've ever seen a better one in 40 years of me being around this type of thing. So now we're going to ride Dan through the obstacles. I bought these mules years ago from a widow lady that her husband had passed away, and I didn't get to meet the man, but I told the lady I didn't have to, because he must have been a heck of a guy. These have got to be the kindest, nicest, most polite mules I have ever seen. They have no vices. They're easy to catch. I've owned them 5 or 6 years. I have to double check. And they've not made one mistake since I've owned them. They'll gee and haul and whoa and back up, back the wagon. They're broke to all farm machinery. There's not a truck big enough to scare them. We've used them in trails. We've used them for guest horses when people come to visit, to ride. And you know, sadly, I'm selling them because I don't feel that I do them justice. That these mules deserve someone that uses them regularly and will enjoy them. Here at the farm, I'm so busy, I just don't have time to devote to these mules like I should, and it's such a waste. If somebody wanted to buy them as a pair, they would be absolutely perfect for a wagon train. We run them barefoot. They're not shod. Got good tough feet. They're perfectly sound. They've never been sick a day. They've had a good home every day of their life. This is Dan, 15 hand. John Mule, Suffolk Cross. Other than his sister Sarah, the best mule I've ever seen, ever. And I've seen a lot. I can honestly tell you this is the only mule, him and his sister, that I ever saw that didn't have something that bothered me. They have no vices at all, and as a bonus you can actually catch them. And they come to you in the field and they're kind, and they've got good hard tough feet. And like his sister Sarah, I told Willis, I said, when these mules die, they're going to heaven. I will tell you this right now, you will not find a better team of mules or a better mule anywhere in the world. Ready to hitch. What I wanted to do is just show you before we get started just how nice these mules are to be around and work with. They're so kind and gentle. And we probably haven't hitched these mules in months. And Willis rode them today for I think the second time in 6 months. Every time you get them out, they know exactly what their job is and they do it. Now we're going to bridle up Dan. I just want you to see, like my old friend Everett Moody used to say, standing there like a workhorse is supposed to. I've had the privilege in my life to know a lot of good old guys that understood these things and taught me a whole lot. Folks, I got to tell you, that doesn't happen by accident right there. Very good. These mules are easy to hitch. You can hitch them up by yourself. They're broke to all farm machinery. They'll work single, they'll work double. We've used these mules a lot to hitch triple with young horses and problemed horses driving. So if we get a screwball sometimes that's afraid of traffic, or we get something that doesn't want to be handled correctly, we've got a triple tree we'll hook up to the mules, and we'll put the one on the inside between them, and I could tell you stories where we've had them laying on their back with their feet straight up in the air in between these two, and they've never let us down. They've always been good. Now that's Willis, and that's Malin. Okay. Okay. Step off. So a couple things that I just want to mention while we're videoing here, that anybody that has been around this would understand, that a year or two ago I hitched these mules to a wagon and we drove them about 10 miles up our bike trail, and I was so impressed on how smoothly they worked together and how they trotted along. And when we're in the wagon, you don't feel any choppiness as they glide right along when they trot, and their stride matches up in perfect harmony. where, you know, a lot of times when you have a team, one member of the team is usually faster or stronger or whatever, but this team is perfect match. That when they trot at the exact same speed, and one of them doesn't depend on the other one. You know, a lot of teams, you got one that's dependent on the other one, or you got one team member that's a good one and one that's about not so good. But these two are very equally matched. Can't tell them apart, except one's a John and one's a Molly. All right, Willis. So just stop and back them up now, please. Jip. Jip. Woo. Woo. All right, so what you're seeing, we haven't had these mules hitched but maybe once in 6 months. We took them out of the pasture this morning, hitched them up. That's what you see. All right, now Malin's going to show you how to G and haul. Woo, and back up. These mules have been used in the woods a lot. They've been used to get in maple syrup. They've mowed a gazillion acres of hay, raked hay, farm wagon. You can talk to them. You can back a wagon up on the barn floor just talking to them. They're not going to run off with you. They're not going to cause you any trouble. They're as traffic safe of any I've ever seen. And we trotted them up. I say they trotted 10 miles and didn't miss a beat up that bike trail. And those bicycles going by and strollers, and people had house dogs on leashes. And we took them up to a church picnic and did a bunch of wagon rides for people. But look how they trot in perfect harmony. Now they'll trot like that all day long. And I tell you what's nice about them is you don't have to be an operator to drive them. I mean, if you can hold those lines in your hand, you can drive these mules. And I tell you, they'll pull. They'll take a halt and they'll pull. My wife had the church preachers come out a year or two ago, and we probably had 8 or 10 old chubby preachers on that wagon, and they pulled those preachers all over this farm. This is Dan and Sarah down at the busy road at the end of our driveway. I've heard stories over the years of older people that told me that when they were kids, their mules at home on the farm were so smart that they could send the mules to the field almost without anybody driving them, that they knew what their job was. And well, by God, I think here's a couple that would fit that category. This is Dan and Sarah on a hillside and rough terrain. And we're going to show you what G and Hall is all about here, boys and girls. So folks, when I say these are the best mules I ever seen, this is what I mean. You'll drive 1,000 miles and not find mules like this that are safe and sound and sensible and haven't had the living dickens worked out of them like some of them. We've had them to parades, we've had them to church picnics, we've had them to town, we drove them to Walmart, we drove them to the bank, we drove them to the hardware store. And they're in the prime of their life. I really hate to sell these mules, but you know what? I just don't do them justice. They need to be somewhere where somebody's going to love them and enjoy them. I hate to split them up. I will if I have to, but I sure hate to. You can trail ride both of them. Perfect. Every city cousin you got, everybody that comes up your driveway, every Sunday school kid that comes out and wants to ride can ride these mules. There's not a truck between here and your house big enough to scare these mules. Alright, come down here, madam, and I'll do a walk around. We'll walk around him here a little bit. That's Dan on the left and Sarah on the right, full brother and sister. The feet are perfect. The only thing is right here on Dan, he's got a bump right there. where he had a harness or something one time, maybe not fit him right. I had the vet come check that, and the vet said it's like a build up, not calcium, but just a, I forget what he called it, but he checked it, and fatty tumor, and he said it's not like a tumor, like a cancerous tumor or anything. It's just like a fatty buildup where a harness had rubbed him somewhere earlier in his life, but doesn't affect him or his soundness or his health or anything at all. And we'll go zero in on their feet. They've had a good job of getting their feet trimmed every 5 weeks. They've had their teeth done frequently, about every 6 months. Now if Malin dropped the lines, he could get off, and they'll stand there and ground tie for you till you come back. That's Dan and Sarah, two best mules around. And this is Ted at Windy Hill Farm. Feel free to give me a call. If you want to buy a good team of mules, this is your chance.